Hi, I'm Rachel Dillon,
And I'm Marcus Dillon.
and this podcast is Who's Really the Boss, where we highlight the joys
And challenges.
of running a business with your spouse or family.
Our mission is to strengthen families and businesses by helping listeners avoid the mistakes we have made so they can lead
And live happily ever after. Welcome back to another episode of Who's Really the Boss podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Just the two of us again.
Yeah, I can sing.
You could?
Yeah, I could.
Nice. This just took a whole new direction.
I feel, with the microphone and the mood lighting, it's all good.
And the latte, that may be helping as well.
I don't know what Noah put in the latte, but yeah, we'll see.
That's awesome. Well, top of mind for us, we are recording at the end of the school year. And this school year, we have mentioned over and over again, is really special because our oldest daughter, Kinley, is graduating. And so as we kind of wrap up the end of her schooling, which I told her yesterday, I am so proud of you that you made it through all 13 years of schooling. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, oh man, I didn't think I was going to make it. Like, as your parent, I didn't know if I was prepared enough to help you get through high school. I did it once. I didn't know if I could do it twice. So she laughed, but.
Yeah, I don't know which years are the worst. If it's like the junior high years, the late elementary years, it seems like every chapter has a challenge now with kids and everything that's thrown at them. I remember one time or multiple times you would say it's either them or me once we get to, I think, teen years. And then the teen years got there and it wasn't as bad as we thought, or maybe we were just in the moment. And there's been some days or weeks, where it's just you deal with it and move on. But I think as parents, you want people on the other side of this, you want people that you've raised to want to spend time with you, and hopefully they do. That's yet to be seen. So we'll see. I think we've created some pretty cool people.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are definitely moments. And those stories are probably more entertaining to tell. I think that's why we tell about like the drama or the trauma moments, because they're more entertaining. They're more exciting. It's kind of awkward to tell people that, my kid sets her own alarm. She puts herself to bed. She makes her own lunches. She handles her own schoolwork, homework, applications. Like, we don't do a whole lot. She runs a whole business, and we kind of stay back and let her do that. And so that's not really, that's kind of maybe boring or like braggadocious to say and kind of repeat all of those things. This one is dedicated to Kinley. We'll talk about Avery obviously for the next 2 full years while she's the only one at home, because she's a pretty awesome human too. But for sure, people kind of are just like, how did you do that? What did you do?
As far as Kinley is concerned?
Yes.
Yeah. I wish I could take credit, but that's probably a lot of it goes to you and the different people that have shaped her along the way, from her teachers and friends and our friends and family that have supported her. And then, even like the paid professionals, doctors and counselors and people that we've had there to support her, just because we know that, obviously like mental health and things are an issue, especially with social media and bullying and all that. And, we haven't had it as bad as some, but still, it's just one of those things where it's hard to grow up and be a kid nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if we have seen or talked to any of the listeners in the last 4 weeks, they probably know all about Kinley and her plans coming up for the fall and beyond. But just in case there's someone listening who hasn't talked to us in the last 2 to 3 weeks, what is probably the most exciting news that we have up to this point?
It changes on a daily basis, right? So she is going to college, which even that, so have been very proud of her business, right? And the business that she created. So she is going to college. As parents, we're kind of open to where maybe college wasn't the right path for her either. And, you and I both, I mean, you've got a bachelor's degree, I've got a bachelor's and master's and my CPA and all that stuff. At the end of the day, working with so many small business owners, we realize like sometimes a college education is just a piece of paper, and it does mature you. It does give you a path to kind of transition to a next chapter in life. So there is that. And I think that's good that she is choosing that for her path, but it wasn't a necessarily required to go to college. But she did apply, and she did get accepted to now 4 different colleges. She did want to move away to go to college. We thought she was maybe going to swim in college, and then that kind of she lost the fire there, and now she's just going to be a student at SMU in Dallas. The part that's changing every day is, does she go to SMU in the spring, which we originally thought was the case, or does she go to SMU in the fall? And if she goes in the spring, there is this opportunity to have a study abroad her first semester, which is what we were really excited about, because that study abroad is actually in Lugano, Switzerland, which is kind of north of Italy and right there in that Lake Como region, which we've never been to Europe before. So it gives us an excuse to go to Europe twice, actually, this year, if she does choose that. But like we said, it's like a day-to-day thing in our life right now. And SMU reached out this week and said, hey, you can come in the fall now if you want to. And so now we're trying to figure out what's the best path. And ultimately, it's her decision, but, it impacts all of us too. So.
Yeah, so for 3 weeks, we were prepared for, and definitely for me, I said in the beginning, I'm like, yes, this is really cool for someone else's kid, because that's my firstborn child that I'm sending 13 hours away by plane. And so, but was really at peace with the decision. And so that's kind of where I was at. When people ask like, how did she start this business, or how did she start sewing, of all things, this last year, and busted out 2 shirts and gifts for friends and all these things, and she's only been sewing for a month. And so anyway, all of those things that are so incredible about her, and it really got me to thinking about, how can I be at peace sending her, to a foreign country? There will be, in some areas that she travels to while she's there, a language barrier. She speaks some Spanish. Spanish is not even offered at the college. I think every other language is, but Spanish
Italian,
is not.
Spanish.
That's right. No friends. She does not know one person yet that is going, not one. So not one person from here, not one person, an acquaintance, nothing. A friend of a friend, she doesn't know anyone. And then, really her business will stop. Yeah. She will have to really, really want to do it to make it happen. She won't be able to carry all of the things from home. So she would have to figure a lot of things out. So there's a lot of reasons to not be at peace with the decision to send her to Switzerland. But I am at peace. And I think that a lot of the things that we put in place, intentionally or unintentionally, from really early in her life, kind of contribute to that.
Yeah. That's the hard thing for me in this moment right now, because we both were at peace with her going away, and then now things may change if she does want to start there in the fall. And I believe there's no financial incentive to start anytime there, actually. And so it's one of those where, as she began to build her business, and for those of you that don't follow her on Instagram, Kinley's Confections, she still has quite a bit of followers and creates content and does things, and has a in-home bakery where she does magical things. And so with that, that was all self-taught. Like, she did her own social media. She can do her own Instagram and editing and TikTok, and I don't know where all else she is. And it's a lot easier to sell cakes than it is accounting services. It's just people want to watch that. And people that we know are like, I just stare at her videos for hours and hours and hours. And the videos are a lot different than it being shot in the house. I think what happens in the house over hours and baking the cake and then putting it all together and then shooting it and doing all of that. And that's condensed down into like a 30-second, clip.
That's right.
It's different. It's very polished than what we live through. We only see the behind the scenes a lot of times, and then we do have to go like her Instagram posts, so she does get one or two more clicks. But that's the piece that she's self-taught in that aspect, and her future, whether or not she owns a business that does cakes or that does advertising and social media or marketing, she's going to be fine, right? And I think that's the piece where, as a parent, you said it, where she took a sewing machine out of a box and learned how to use it in like 10 minutes. Her going across to Europe, she'll be fine, right? She'll figure it out. Just because, I think that's awesome that that's the kid we raised. And, as a parent, you're like, just have to come nothing more than peace at this point.
Yeah, and this is all to her credit, but it will make you sad because I have started taking back over some of the sales calls within DBA. But her Mother's Day treat boxes, I sold 8 treat boxes for her in about a 15-minute time period. So if I could just do that with our full service accounting, that would be great. But so far, pretty easy to back your kid. It probably has something to do with just the over amount of passion and support and belief that I have in her. I have that same for our team for sure, but I think it's just not as exciting. It's not as delicious as cake, right?
Yeah, maybe we can acquire her business and do that as
maybe
a side hustle
new
or
clients,
something.
Clients start getting. I really wanted to take this time though because I am so application based of like, we don't have the magic pill and we don't have the, if you do this, then this will for sure happen. But just wanted to kind of highlight some of the things again, that a lot of times I didn't feel that they were right, but from a very early age, we encouraged responsibility in her. This will be something I'm sure she talks about as a trauma with her counselors later in life. So, but we did have her set her own alarm. We did have her, and this was even inspired by her swim coaches. They told us at the first parent meeting when she was 7 years old, I think, you do not carry their bags. You don't pack their swim bags. You don't pack their swim meet bags. You don't carry them in for them. They need to be able to manage their own things, and they need to be able to remember to get them together. So you don't do it as much as you will want to jump in and help. And I think for me, I see a lot of moms who do a lot for their kids. It's their gift. It's the way that they show love to do those things for their kids. And it almost makes you feel like you're a bad parent because you don't do those things. Your kids take care of those things on their own. But what that really does is teach them responsibility and how to take care of it. And me as a mom, I can jump in when there's an emergency and help and save the day. Or I can notice when Kinley's, made 6 orders and she still has homework to do. I can wash her dishes that day. I don't wash them all the time. She mostly cleans the kitchen herself. But when I can just feel a sense of overwhelm, I can jump in at that point. So it's not that you can never parent or never do anything for your kid, but really reserving it for the times that matter and make the most impact, and then letting them develop that responsibility on their own.
Yeah, I think swimming, if anything, in her life provided that creation of responsibility, like you said. And they're the ones that are on, in the meet and on the blocks. And if they don't make their race, the swim meet doesn't stop. They don't go looking for the swimmer that's missing out of lane 3. They run the race and the kid misses it. So that teaches them individual responsibility to get to where they're going, to pay attention during the meet. There's a lot of distraction at those meets with friends and things like that. So I think she was able to use that to her advantage, and ultimately she's She's learned through maybe some trial and error as well when it comes to business, when it comes to making cakes and Instagram and even driving. She kind of has learned from her mistakes and improved. And I think the drive and the motivation probably comes from us, and she wants to be better. She's not, just some lazy teenager. And I think that's where it's kind of cool to see that. Not saying that, the other is bad, but it's who we are. It's what we do. So we think she'll be fine wherever she goes. The parallels from like parenting to being a business owner, it's now just hitting me. Like, we've said that DBA and that is not a great place to train people. Like, we want people to kind of come in with, hungry, humble, and smart, and they are able to quickly learn things and adapt. And we've kind of said we're not a training shop. Like, you can't come in 6 months to a year and kind of learn at a pace that's, easy and acceptable. You kind of have to hit the ground running. And that parallels to like how we raise our kids, and it's just like accepting a lot of responsibility. There is a lot of grace. There is a lot of freedom with that, both at the team member level and at the child level. But it is, we are not micromanagers. We are not helicopter parents. And I think that is just who we are. So the byproduct of who we are is probably not surprising either. And, I think she'll be fine. As you mentioned earlier in another podcast, she was voted by her class as most likely to be a CEO. So that's probably not surprising that she is driven. She's not. The one thing that, if you were in business and driven by like money and greed, she's not, that's not there. I think, she has something that drives her, but it's not that. She does love material possessions. She does love certain brands and expensive items and a life of luxury, I guess. But a lot of those are things that she's bought. Like this weekend and this month with Mother's Day coming up, I think she's got over $1,000 of orders. As you mentioned, like you helped. And so hopefully you get a commission on that. But the main thing there is I think she's doing what she needs to. We probably don't know the whole plan of what she's planning for the next 4 months or 5 months when she can't bake. And she'll probably reuse content or create content and continue to post in a manner where she doesn't lose her sponsors and she still has followers and things like that. But she's kind of got a plan, and our ideas aren't always her ideas, and she doesn't incorporate that, and she's fine to do that because the way we raised her.
Yeah. And I think another question a lot of people have is how did she get into baking like that? I have a child who's 8 years old and loves to bake also. How did she become what she is today? And I think, for the two of us, we just encouraged both of the girls to, if they see something they like, try it. I probably come from I don't want to fail. I don't want to do it if I think I'm going to fail, so I'm not going to do anything. And I did not want our kids to be that way. I didn't want them to miss out on things because they were worried it wouldn't work. And so I think all of the things came from TV. So we probably also let our kids watch way too much TV. So if anyone's thinking that we have all the answers and we did it right, we didn't. But Kinley wanted to try triathlons. And I'm like, well, you can swim, so let's do it. And I had a friend who did triathlon, so shout out to Lauren, who helped us learn how to do transitions from the swimming to the biking to the running. And so she did triathlons. And then she, we baked together because it's hot in Texas in the summer. We didn't have a pool our whole lives yet. And so we baked, so we stayed inside, and then they would go and take those to the neighbors and, try to get donations or sell those things. And it was really just encouraging them to try things. We threw a lot of her baking in the trash in the beginning. A lot was absolutely terrible. But what we could do was provide the kitchen, provide the ingredients. It was simple enough, and let her try whatever those things were. We didn't push the things. Everyone asked us, were you a swimmer? Was Marcus a swimmer? Who was a swimmer in your family? Why are they swimming? No, they just wanted to try it, and they were good at it and liked it. And so we continued to support them and get them the things that they needed to do well. We are fortunate and blessed and privileged to be able to do that. But that's really the thing, when you think about ingredients for baking and maybe your thought is like, it's going to make such a mess, or it's just going to go in the trash because it's going to be terrible. Well, when you really think about it, now it's a little more expensive, but $10 all in, if you took them to the movies, you're going like triple or quadruple that amount. So just kind of providing the space and the things that they would need to be able to try what interests them.
Yeah, I would think the only frustrating piece with having them bake good things and things that we've had to throw in the trash are the ingredients that are necessary for the rest of our life. Just eggs and flour and, you look in the fridge and that's something she's had to learn, kind of like an inventory, and create a list of items. And now it's a little bit easier with, grocery delivery. It never works out for her because she needs it in the moment. So I hope that if she does turn this into a business beyond college, that she does get even better at that. Just because the scale that she now bakes, we don't have the ingredients just laying around. Like we don't have the boxes or anything like that that is necessary to kind of deliver the final product, just at our disposal. So I think that's something that is maybe the only negative. Also the, extra pounds that come with eating all the good stuff that she now makes. But I think the one thing there is she has had challenges and things she's had to work through in the business, and she is adapted to overcome those challenges, like school getting in the way, right? Like I've got homework. I can't just bake all night or decorate all night or post all night. She actually does have a pretty big commitment with school, and we'll see that, into college years, how that impacts the future. But we said, hey, here's X amount of money, your college will cost X. There's other paths. We could do a lesser college and you could go out and start your business full time, or we could go buy a Crumble franchise or a Nothing Bundt Cakes or something and kind of do that. But she ultimately chose this path, and I guess we're on the journey with her.
Yeah. And, something else that we did with her when she was young is really prioritizing, that we still do, prioritizing faith and service and community. And so I think that starting her young in that mindset has even helped kind of her desire to do the baking. She knows that it's likely not going to be something that just provides, huge amounts financially, but she loves when people come to pick up their cakes and smile when they see what she's created for them. She loves the fact that almost everything she makes is going to help celebrate something, be it a graduation, a birthday, a wedding, a baby, whatever it might be. She just loves that she plays a part in, someone else's joy. And just also the fact of serving others and giving back. And while she does like nice things material wise, she does understand that not everybody is the same as she is, and that she can use those same gifts to help others.
Yeah, I think the other thing that I've learned in this process is she's like most business owners and doesn't focus on accounting, and that's not a priority. She'd rather bake cakes and do what's necessary there on the customer side. She knows if she has money or not. She doesn't know how much of that's revenue or how much of it was expenses or anything else, but she's able to run her business based off her bank account. So hopefully we need to get a better system in place if she does really expand this beyond what it is today. The year after the fact accounting and tax return and just being okay with what it is, that's kind of disheartening to see. So maybe I didn't have as good of control on that education as I thought.
Yeah. Well, if she majors in accounting, things are still changing day by day. We have no idea. She may find a little bit more appreciation of what those numbers can tell her if she knows them, in current day to day instead of, a year after the fact. She may appreciate that a little bit more.
Yeah, it's always what like the cobbler's kids have the worst shoes type thing. So I don't know if that's one of those things where we can continue to help her out. I'd be proud to.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think just a few things that we've done. We've continued all of the things that we started with her early, as far as taking her own responsibility and encouraging her to try new things, and, making sure that faith has always been the number one priority in her life. But as she transitioned to junior high and high school years, really requiring that she keep commitments. So things maybe that didn't feel fun in the moment, or, that she maybe had a change of heart or was going to be a burden on her at some point, but really honoring those commitments no matter what. Let your yes be yes. And then I think helping her to manage her money, though you say she doesn't know her exact financial position, she does understand that she can't spend all of her money on things because she has to buy ingredients. She does understand that she has to have gas and have supplies to package that up and all of the things that she needs, as well as savings for later, so that when she does get the opportunity to study somewhere that she may not have a job in Switzerland, that she has money to live off of, more than what we're willing to help inject. So, I think there's still been a lot of things here more recently or later in life, different challenges that have come up and different learning opportunities that we've been able to kind of instill some good habits.
Yeah, I think one of the quotes I remember you continuing to tell her is you can't quit on a bad day, right? And so you kind of have to really let the emotion subside to see if this is something that you're not just doing it in the heat of the moment, like giving up on whatever you started or the commitment that you made. And so I think, not quitting on a bad day can hopefully go throughout her life with her. And we'll see. It'll be fun to be on the journey and watch, not try to control too much, but watch.
Yeah, and I think maybe the most beneficial thing that we've done most recently, as she is about to have a ton of changes, I had to do it for my own self, but to allow her, or to maybe force her to talk to a counselor, to talk to a professional, as she is navigating all of these changes. And never a year ago did we think she wouldn't be swimming, she would potentially be going to Switzerland, she maybe wouldn't be majoring in business. So many changes from what she thought the end of her senior year might look like and the beginning of her college career might look like to what it's actually going to look like. So just having an outlet, someone for her to talk to other than us, our opinions most of the time seem to mean nothing to her or make her want to do the opposite. And so I think having someone that she trusts, that she can talk to, that's kind of unbiased and definitely someone different than her parents, has been really beneficial for her.
Yeah, and that was all you that recommended that and sought out that counselor and tried another counselor and things. And so she did not love it at first. Now I don't know that she would tell us that she enjoys it, but she's gone back. She keeps going back, and she extends. Her counselor now buys cakes from her and cupcakes. So
maybe it just became a business,
yeah.
a business relationship. We should see if we can just get like trade services in there instead of paying. Yes. So the interesting thing, if any listeners do not have teenagers yet, or you'll laugh if you have had teenagers, is she didn't want to go to counseling. She didn't like going to counseling. But here recently, when I said, do you want this to be your last appointment? She said, well, maybe I'll just keep going for a few more times. And so I think that's how we can infer that she feels it's beneficial to her in some capacity.
Yeah. Good call, Mom. Good call.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been an excellent conversation all about Kinley. Shout out to her, whatever her plans may be, wherever her path may go. We're super proud of her and just can't wait to be along for the ride.
Yep.
All right. See you on the next. Thanks for hanging with us to the end of another episode. If you have thoughts, comments, or feedback you would like to share, please leave us a comment or review on your favorite podcast listening platform. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. Join us again next week for another great conversation.